Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So if you don't know me, my name is Beth. I'm a seamstress, but I knit and crochet and all that good stuff. If you have already been following me for a little while, this video is kind of unlike me, I guess. I am someone that is so incredibly picky with patterns, and I mean this whole process of trying to find the perfect pattern has just proven to me how ridiculously picky that I am. I hardly ever follow other people's patterns. I pretty much only self-draft, and I guess in the last year or so have started properly releasing some of them patterns as, well, them designed as my own patterns, including what I'm wearing today, which I'll quickly tell you about now. This is my capsule drop sweater. I always feel weird saying sweater because like we say jumper in the UK, but anyway. And this pattern is actually coming out hopefully tomorrow, the day after this video is released. So if you're interested, I'll always link my Ravelry website, everything below. It's a pretty classic oversized drop shoulder, but there's multiple different options for if you want German short rows or not. There's different neckline shaping, there's different sleeve widths, there's a wide and a tapered, there's a long and cropped version, and then there's also an option for longer sleeves as well. And they're all going to have specific yarn estimations, instructions, decrease rates, things like that. So yeah, little shameless self plug there. It's also got these like rolled edge details, and this is knit in the Rowan Island Blend Fine held double. So this is like 2 fingering weight, but I feel like it holds a little bit bigger than that. But yeah, anyway, all the information on that is going to be in the description because it's not what we're here to talk about. Like I said, I'm really extremely picky, but I have been going down this rabbit hole on Ravelry because I really want to learn stranded colour work. I feel like I am very confident, like a very confident and experienced knitter, I would say. I actually do have a first class degree in fashion design as well, so I do feel pretty confident making clothes. For some reason, stranded colour work just really scares me a little bit, because I think it's because I knit English style and I will never become a continental knitter. My hands just can't do it. But I think the thing that puts me off is firstly how slow the project's probably going to be, because I'm going to have to do like one of each. And yeah, I don't know, I'm just scared about, or not scared, I don't know, it worries me learning a new technique, or I don't know, it's going to be a challenge learning a new technique. There's so many things that come into colour work, from tension to yarn choice to catching floats and like all that kind of thing that I'm going to need to learn. So as much as I would love to just sit and design my own and have it be exactly what I want it to be, I've decided that I am going to follow a pattern for my first colourwork piece, because I feel like that's probably going to be a hell of a lot easier. So the main criteria that I have been looking for is it needs to be stranded colourwork. I don't want to do intarsia or duplicate stitch or like anything like that, or something that looks like colour work but isn't. For example, the off-grid sweater by Rose Knitwear. I'll try and put a picture here. Because I love that, I'm obsessed with how it looks, but I actually don't think it's colour work. I think it's just quite clever stripes. So yeah, it had to be colour work. Like stranded colour work is the first criteria. Secondly, I would love for this to be a DK weight or above. There's a couple that have slipped through that are smaller. If I particularly liked the design, then I have put them in here, because I'm not limited to only making one of these, right? I could make a bigger gauge project for my first one and then always come back and knit a smaller one. That's like not gonna be a problem. So there are a couple smaller ones, but ideally we wanted it to be a little bit chunkier. I just want something that's gonna work up a bit quicker, because I feel like I'm gonna be quite slow working on this. Thirdly, and I feel like most importantly, I have to actually like it. This year, and I guess like last year as well, when I've been kind of back into knitting after uni, the way that I am looking at things is like I'm not making a project as such, I am making an item of clothing, and I feel like this has really helped me kind of whittle down what I actually want to make, because there's so many cool colourwork patterns, right? Like I'm thinking, say like the halibut sweater or the wave sweater I think it's called, but like if I was in a shop I probably wouldn't buy that for myself. And as much as, yes, these are knitting projects, you do work on it, I think for me the more important thing is having a final garment that I love, because before I knit I crocheted, and pretty much everything I crocheted I never even wore once. Like they were cute, they photographed well for Instagram, and then literally had no interest in ever wearing them because they just were not my style of clothing. So there's that as well. And the other thing is I specifically wanted a jumper, so there's no cardigans, nothing open in this. There are again some really nice cardigan designs that I have seen on Ravelry, but that's not what I want. I think this is the last point. All of these are on Ravelry. There's so many more colourwork designs that you can find just with a really easy Google search, Pinterest search, that designers have only on their website or on Etsy or anything else. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just looking at Ravelry because I already had to whittle this down from like 100 patterns, and so I wasn't then going to go exploring through the rest of the internet. But yeah, only Ravelry. So I'm going to split this into, I guess, 3 sections and then like favourites as a 4th. So I've split this into drop shoulders, raglans and round yokes. Now I actually haven't obviously knit any of these yet, so these are not recommendations as such, these are just patterns that I'm looking at. Take it with, you know, a pinch of salt. I don't actually know how well written any of these patterns are or things like that. So lastly, in the 4th category, I'm going to go through my favourites, my top picks, what I'm actually considering buying yarn for, and if you have any thoughts or feelings on them, you can let me know in the comments. What ones you think would be good, or if you've knit them, anything like that. Just, yeah, let me know, because I feel like a beginner again with colourwork. So without further ado, let's get going, because I have literally got so many to talk about. I've tried to narrow it down to 10 for each category. That hasn't worked super well. There's I think around 10 for the drop shoulder, around 10 for the raglan, and then I think more for circular yoke. There's so many circular yokes. I'm actually not the biggest fan of a circular yoke look, but anyway, we'll get to that afterwards. I'm gonna try and screen record on my iPad. If that doesn't work, we're gonna have to just put them up on the screen as I'm talking about them, but I'm sorry if I'm looking down, that is why. Okay, so for each design we're gonna go through the name, the designer, the yarn, the size range, and obviously why I like it. So let's just get started. The first category is the drop shoulders, and the first design is the Simone Sweater Light, and this is by Stein Erikstad. Now I'm going to apologise in advance because I reckon I'm probably going to butcher the vast majority of these names, so I am sorry. This project is so cool. I saw this on Pinterest for so long before I'd even ever found it on Ravelry. There's a specific version with like a royal blue and like a burgundy, which if you go into the projects on Ravelry, so many people have made that version, which I think is so cool. This is knit at worsted gauge and it goes from an extra small to a 3XL. So that is from this is finished garment measurements, from a 40 to a 54.5 inch bust, which is not the best. It definitely could go up higher, I will say, but this is basically, from what I can understand, knit bottom up. I would maybe try and modify this to knit it top down, or at least, I'm not sure if there are short rows in this, but because all the colour work is sort of like on the bottom portion and also just on the bottom of the sleeves, I feel like you can really add in like any short rows you want. You can modify the neckline, modify the length of it, everything like that. I think this is something that would be quite approachable as a beginner, because first of all the gauge, second of all it's, like I said, Colorwork's only on the bottom, happy days, and it's just these 3 coloured kind of stripes, so for the most part you're not keeping track of loads of different colours. It's a pretty like straightforward design, and yeah, I do like this one a lot. Secondly, this is my Roman Empire jumper, the BB sweater by Spectacle Strick. Oh my god, I saw this originally on Instagram, and it wasn't a version by the designer, it just literally came up on my like, what is it even called, the like For You page? That can't be right. Anyway, and it was this really nice, it was like variations of green and blue, like really earthy tones, and I literally fell in love with it. Figured out it was this jumper. This is a sport weight jumper, so it's knit on 3.5mm needles, which honestly is the thing that puts me off the most. I'm just nervous, and I've never knit a jumper on that small of a gauge anyway, let alone Colorwork. This goes from an extra small to a 2XL, which honestly for a designer this big is not it. These are all in centimeters, my head works in inches, so this basically goes from 103 to 150 centimeter bust. I'm not exactly sure what the conversion is, but yeah, it is pretty disappointing that this is a smaller size range. But I love the, like I just said, like the natural kind of colorways of this piece. There's this version with like browns, like olivey greens, quite similar to this jumper, which I'm obsessed with. I think this is the blue and green one. Hopefully I am actually showing you on the screen. But yeah, so stunning. This just looks like a jumper you would buy, just store-bought. It is, yeah, just so gorgeous. 100% one of my favourites. Next is the porcelain sweater. I feel like everyone and their mum has seen this. I was not like, I like this jumper, but it wasn't something that I thought was, I don't know, just wasn't for me the most amazing thing. And then I saw this version, came up on my Pinterest. I literally can't find the photo again. I will hopefully maybe put it up if I can. But I feel like obviously the whole point of this is that it's the blue on the white or beige. It's meant to look like a porcelain plate, right? But I saw this version of this white, and then the colour work was burgundy, and it just looked so good, and that is really what turned my head towards this. This is a DK weight gauge and goes from a 2 extra small to a 3XL. Now I do have one thing to say about this, because I feel like everyone and their mum loves this jumper. I mentioned this in another video, and honestly I didn't even figure this out for myself. I fully figured this out, well, fully was told this by Cinema Knits. I was watching one of her pattern recommendation videos. The model, I'm pretty sure, who's also the designer, is wearing a size 2 sizes up from what's recommended to her, so it's actually not this oversized, and that I find a little bit icky. So although this goes up to a 3XL, you won't get this oversized look. So yeah, not the biggest fan of that. However, it is obviously gorgeous, like people do like this for a reason. The next one is the Lydia sweater by Cuckoo Loops, and this is this all over floral. It's kind of all these like stripes of different colour going through it. This is a fingering weight jumper, which honestly does put me off, and unfortunately this only goes from an extra small to an extra large. Now I don't know if this is like a smaller designer, maybe they couldn't get the testers for a larger size or something, but yeah, maybe not like the best. The next pattern is the Seaton sweater, or just the Seaton, by Marie Warlin, and this is a worsted weight gauge, and it goes from a, okay, the size range on this is a bit weird. They're like joint sizes, so it's like small, medium are together, large and extra large are together, extra large and 2XL are together, and then the 3XL. So it's actually only got 4 sizes, even though it goes up quite like big. It goes up to just under 200 centimeter bust as the largest size. Again, I'm not exactly sure what the conversion is. While I was browsing Ravelry, Marie Warlin had so many different colourwork designs. I picked this one out because firstly it was a drop shoulder, which I do tend to prefer, Secondly, I feel like that because this has a couple different colours in it, I feel like there's so much you can do to like kind of customise it and make it your own. And also I feel like because it's a drop shoulder, it's easier to modify the neckline. Necklines are something that I am really picky about. I love a higher neckline, like not like a turtleneck, but I mean like the jumper I'm wearing where the crew is like literally around the base of your neck and not super wide. So I feel like it would be easier to modify a drop shoulder pattern, because the problem with like circular yokes and raglans is that the neckline kind of starts everything off, whereas like with a drop shoulder it's kind of like cut out, so you could just make it narrower. But yeah, I don't know, I really like this. I feel like this could be one that you could play up to be more Christmassy if you wanted to, or you could just use like non-Christmassy colours and just, you know, have a jumper with this fun geometric on it. But yeah, super cute. She has so many. The only thing is with this one is I'm pretty sure that you have to buy it in her book. I don't know if you can buy it individually, so that is one thing to bear in mind. The next one is the tulip sweater by Hip Nip Shop, and I've literally had this saved for years, specifically the fluffy version, but I'm just looking at the normal one because there's hardly any projects, if any, of the fluffy one, and I really love, there's some versions on Ravelry where people have used really warm colours like burgundies, reds, pinks, which I think I actually prefer to the ones that they have used in the listing photos. So yeah, it's got this all over like, well, two kind of stripes of tulips, and I think you can knit either 2 rows or 3. The fluffy version has like a 3 row. The only thing is though, so this is knit an Aran weight gauge, it only goes up to an extra large. I honestly, because I never really follow patterns, I'm not really like exposed that much to looking at other people's size ranges and stuff. I feel like a lot of these designers are quite big, like Hip Nip Shop, they sell yarn and stuff as well, and I think they do a lot of kits. So I think it's a bit of a shame that they only go from a small to an extra large. Like that just seems, I don't know, it's just a bit icky with me, but the design is cute. You could potentially modify it or knit this in a different gauge, I guess. The next one is I think this is the Jeju sweater by Eggio Knit. I could be saying that so wrong. So this is, okay, this says that the yarn weight is a lace, but it's knit on 4mm needles. I think, I don't know why that is. It's Tvinny by Isia. Okay, that maybe puts me off a little bit. It depends if this is knit at a lace weight or a DK weight gauge, right? Anyway, it's again only 5 sizes. I think it's because it's 2 lace weights held together. Yeah, I think it is meant to be a DK weight. Okay, yeah, this only goes from size 1 to 5, so, but the circumference of the finished sweater actually goes up to a 70.8 inch bust. I think this just has a lot more positive ease because the smallest size is a 49 inch bust, which is quite big for the smaller end of the size range, but I think kind of acceptable for the top end. So yeah, I don't know whether this is just because it's massively oversized. I really like this dark version, again similar to the first one. I think this will be quite approachable because it's only got this panel of colour work and it's all in the round, so you could pretty much modify shoulders, neckline, anything like that exactly how you want without interfering with any of the colour work charts. Also got the Nordic mix. I couldn't not include this. This is by Laura Dalgard. This I have been looking at for so long. I don't know what it is that keeps putting me off making this. This is a worsted weight project and goes from an extra small to a 3XL. This is, I feel like everyone's seen this. This all over, really fun, different, I guess, like charts of colour work. I honestly don't know what colours I would make this in. I think maybe like a black and white or like a grey and white or something like that. But there's so many nice colourways that people have done on Ravelry. I think a lot of people do tend to stick to like the blue and white, but I think you could really do what you wanted with this. And it's not, I would say this definitely falls into the category of being more like geometric. It's not, I would say, like Christmassy, but definitely I think again you could maybe use this as a Christmas jumper if you wanted to. The next one is the Harriet sweater by Lynette, and this is a fingering weight project, which don't love. Oh no, tell a lie, it's a DK weight. I'm looking at lace plus fingering, and goes from a 2 extra small to a 5XL, which we love to see. This again has this paneling of Colorwork across the middle. I specifically love Millie's version from What's Millie Making, because she's also a short queen like me, and she basically did a mod where she knit like the top part of like flat colour and the bottom work at the bottom bit of flat colour shorter. That was such a mouthful, which I think I would probably have to do, because the thing with this is like it's quite long. It gives the measurements somewhere here. Okay, yeah, length is like 27 to 28 inches. I'm only 5'2" at a push, so I would 100% have to knit this shorter. But I think it's really cute. Really love the listing photos of the darker colour, and it almost looks a little bit tweedy, so that could be something to bear in mind with the colours that I pick for whichever project I pick. Next is the Lillehammer pullover by Ellis Knitwear. This was recommended to me so many times on my Instagram, or just this designer in general. This is a DK weight project and goes from sizes 1 to 9, which is a 73.5 inch bust, so that's a mega slay. I think this is definitely leaning into Christmassy now, but I really love how crisp this colour work looks, and I don't think that there's too many sections where you'd have to catch long floats, because it is so heavily colour work everywhere. And yeah, I just love a drop shoulder. What can I say? This reminds me of the Dale of Norway patterns, which are the, you know, like the ski jumpers that everyone's been loving at the minute, that you can get patterns for, but it's obviously much more modern knitwear patterns, so I would imagine it's a little bit more probably approachable than some of those might be. Lastly, for the drop shoulder category, we have Little Crystals by Celine Phaeton. This is a worsted weight again, and this is graded to fit between a 30 to 66 inch bust, so I'd say pretty good on that front. This is 100% Christmas territory now. I think this is so cute. I particularly like this kind of top version with the blue and white. I don't know what colour I would do this in. I think I prefer the blue over the red, honestly. I would maybe even do this in like a white and black. I also think this one's quite cool because it is a drop, but it is a European shoulder, so you know, all of the kind of like petite knitty modern patterns, I've done a couple things with European shoulder. It gives you that nice like kind of slant on the back shoulder, so I thought that was quite an interesting like design feature to go with this piece as well. It's not just like a normal drop, and I haven't really seen many colour work that use this design feature. I could be wrong, but I think just are the ones that I've seen. Anyway, we're now going to move on to the Raglan jumpers, and we are starting off strong with one that I absolutely don't know how to say. The Greyrup Chunky? I actually have no idea. This is by Camilla Vad, and this is a bulky weight project. Again, it's only graded for 5 sizes, which I don't think is very good. Only goes up to an 140 centimetre bust, which that's not that big at all, is it? I'm trying to like do the conversion to inches in my head. I always used to work in centimetres, and since working like as a seamstress, I just work in inches now, and I find it hard to convert back. But anyway, this, yeah, not a great size range, but I really love the white and black version, and also these like kind of really dark tonal versions. I'll show you here the black and white one. Even if I didn't knit this pattern specifically, I think this is a good just like vibe, like look wise vibe. And then yeah, these, I mean the pink one's cute. I quite like with this dark tonal one that like the navy kind of look, it almost looks like a gradient. even though it's not. I don't know, I think it looks quite nice. And again, it's quite like geometric, it's not leaning into Christmassy too much. You could wear this kind of all year round. It looks quite traditionally like Fair Isle, but it's bulky, so it could definitely be knit a bit quicker. The next Raglan is the Northern Augustins number 8, and there's going to be some more of these, but they're not in this category. This is by Anne-Sophie Velling, and she has so many patterns. Basically her colourwork range, from what I gather, is the Northern Augustins. This one, there's like not that many projects on Ravelry. I have got another few that look very similar to this, but this is a sport weight, and it's knit for 8 different sizes. So this is like this kind of striped pattern with these like alternating little kind of dots of colour work, which I think is quite cool. I think again it's quite approachable because, you know, you're only alternating 2 colours, like 1 stitch on and off, I'm assuming. And I feel like you could really play with whatever colours you wanted to in this. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of this blue and red and beige stripe, but you could kind of do this with whatever you wanted, right? Also, don't know if this includes German short roads or not. I would maybe include them. I feel like I wouldn't be that bothered about having a portion of like the base colour at the back with no colour work for the purpose of getting short rows, because I think, like, to me that's really important. So yeah, super cute. Surprised not more people have made this. The next one looks quite similar. It's the, I don't know if this is the cat hole or the cathole sweater by Pernille Larsen. It's basically a knit and for olive pattern, and this is a bulky weight gauge, and it's graded between an extra small and 5XL, so we love to see it, but would also expect to see it from a yarn brand this big. This is very similar in look, but obviously quite different in gauge. The other thing as well is that this has like a super thick raglan increase section, which I don't know how much I love, but I would consider this because, well, today's Friday, this video's going up Sunday, so yesterday for you but tomorrow for me. Knitting for Olive are doing a day where everything that they sell, they're donating the proceeds to, like, I think it's UNICEF for Palestine. And so I would lean towards making this because I really want to buy some yarn from them tomorrow. Again, I feel like there's so many different things that you could do with this. I think this only uses 2 colours, whereas the previous one used 3, but I think you could just really easily modify this to be knit in 3 colours. The next one is the number 4 Claver, I think, Lady Sweater by Sunny Scarm. The thing that pisses me off with Sunny Scarm patterns is, why do I have to buy your yarn to buy your pattern? It really irks me because not only is their yarn more expensive than other things, but like, for example, I have a couple of balls of Peargin left in stash from a different project, but if I wanted to knit their pattern in that yarn that I've already got, I'd have to rebuy it. I don't know, it's a bit icky for me, but I guess it is up to them to do as they please. This is a fingering weight project, so that was the first thing that I was like, oh. And it's graded from an 104 to 154 centimetre bust, so that's an extra small to a 5XL. I really enjoy how geometric this is. I think this is something you could wear all year round. I specifically love the men's version because the men's version is just black and white, and the women's is this like orange and white. So I really do like the design of this, but it is just the gauge that like puts me off it a little bit. And plus I'd have to buy it with their yarn, so I wouldn't be able to use like anything in stash or anything like that. Next is the Arconia sweater by Lillian Olsen, and this is a worsted weight pattern, and it's graded from sizes 1 to 10, which we love to see. It doesn't say on here exactly what that size range is in measurements, but this is like this all over houndstooth design, which I think is quite cool. I actually need to fix my crochet kind of equivalent of this that was self-drafted, so I feel like it would be a bit silly for me to cast this on, but I do think it's super non-Christmassy. It's quite cool. You could really go low or high contrast with this, and yeah, I do just quite like the shape of it. Next is the daisy sweater, and I'm specifically looking at the daisy sweater chunky. So she basically has this design in a couple different gauges. This one is a worsted weight gauge, and it's graded from a 2 extra small to a 5XL, which we love to see. I really love her navy version with the white flowers. I think it's so cute. The only thing that puts me off with this one is I feel like the floats are a little bit long between the flowers, but that's not the end of the world. And this is by Silvara Knitwear. There's also another one by this designer, so I'm going to quickly flip over. This is the Josephine sweater, and this one is on a much smaller gauge. This is a lace weight knit on 4mm needles, and it's got the same size range, but hopefully you can see the difference basically between the normal and the chunky versions is there's way more flowers and it's thinner on the normal ones, and on the chunkier ones it's thicker and there's less flowers, but it's a lot bigger and I would say more graphic. She also has these on like socks and all sorts if you're into the kind of floral design. Next, I feel like this probably isn't the most colourwork that we're going to look at today. This is the normal sweater by My Favourite Things Knitwear. I feel like everyone and their mum's knit this as well. I'm late to the party. This is so minimal colourwork. It's pretty much stripes. It's only got like these couple of rows at the like before and after each stripe. But I just really like the look of this. I was really close to making this a little while ago. I feel like as well, I'm hoping this would be quite approachable because it's got very minimal colour work, so you can kind of knit panels like blocks of stockinette and then kind of get into the colour work in between if you're someone like me that's new to it. This is an Aran weight gauge and goes from an extra small to a 4XL. I know My Favourite Things Knitwear doesn't have the best size range on a lot of her things. I think this is probably one of the better ones, unfortunately. Goes up to a 60-inch bust. Next is the Sunset Sweater Chunky by Easy as Knit, and this is a Aran weight project with sizes from an extra small to a 4XL. They do have a thinner version of this, but I went for the chunky. I firstly prefer how it looks, and secondly don't want to knit the other one because it's too small of a gauge for me. And I really do enjoy like jumpers with the vertical stripes. This one has like a, I guess like main colour stripe and then like alternating colour stripes underneath. I wouldn't go for the colours they've used in the listing photos. It's a bit too rainbow for me. I would maybe do something that was more tonal. I think could look really nice. And again, I think this is like a one stitch back and forth, like main colour, contrast colour. So I think it wouldn't be too difficult to keep track of where you're meant to be. There's no particularly long floats, so she's a winner. Second to last for the Raglans is the Anson and Rowe Raglan by Leaf Hopper Knits. I've literally been eyeing this up since before she even put the testicle out. It's so cool. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but it is so cool. It's knit a sport weight gauge and it's graded for 9 sizes. It is so sick. I mean, if you look through the projects on Ravelry, there's so many different colorways that people have done for this. I love just this like the sample photo one with like the white and black, or maybe even like a white and navy. But yeah, she's so cool. She does all sorts of like insect inspired knits and that kind of thing. For the Raglans is the Lucrezia pullover, I think that's how you say it, by Unit Toronto, and this is a DK weight project graded from an extra small to a 4XL. This again has like these kind of stripes of colour work with like bits of stockinette in between. So again, I feel like this would maybe be a little bit more approachable because there's not loads and loads of colour work going on. I do really like, again, just the listing photos of the white with the black like kind of stripes of colour work on top. I think that looks really classy and really nice. We are now on to the final category, which is round yokes, and this one, she's the biggest category. Like I said, everyone seems to be designing, knitting round yokes. I'm not the biggest fan of a round yoke, which is funny considering this is the biggest category, but honestly there's just so much more option because there's so many more designs designed this way. So let's just get going. This one, I love this one. This one is the Dazzler by Lisa Lewis, and this came out in one of the Lane magazines, which I have actually now purchased for the purpose of having this pattern. So this is knit at a bulky weight gauge and is graded for 9 sizes. Lane were actually, oh okay, I know it's Liner, were having a sale a little while ago, and so I managed to get this for like half price or something, plus obviously all of the other patterns that come in that magazine. If I was to knit this, I would modify it. So I'm thinking maybe this isn't the best one to start with. Firstly, long sleeves will not rock the 3/4 length, unfortunately. Second of all is the neckline. Because I'd knit this in a bigger size to get more positive ease, basically the neckline gets like lower and lower. So what I would maybe do is cast on with the amount of stitches on these sizes actually recommended for me, and then figure out my own increases to get back to the point where the Colorwork charts start. But I love this all over. There's a picture that I have saved on my Ravelry, or loads of pictures of this jumper that I have on Ravelry that are like my actual Roman Empire love it to death jumper, but it was just like someone's random one-off self-drafted thing and they're never going to release a pattern. This is the closest I can find to that, so I think I will knit this eventually. I just am not sure that I'm going to start with it because of the modifications that I want to make. I think it would maybe be best to start with something that I'm just going to knit as it is written. Secondly is the Northern Augustins number 4, again by Sophie Ann Velling, and this one again I've been eyeing for so long. I don't even know what it is. So many of these I've been looking at for so long, and then when it comes to actually picking one, I'm like, oh well, this has got this thing I don't like, and I don't know, I'm just being overly too picky as always. This is a it just has question mark under the yarn weight. It's basically knitting for Olive Heavy and Merino held with their mohair, and it's graded for between a 100 and 170 centimeter bust. This is so gorgeous. It's got the bows. I feel like so many people have been knitting this. I would maybe not do the colours that it's knitting in the sample photos, but it is just so cool. I would also not knit the neckline this high. I don't know what it is about this, but so many of the projects just look like they have such a really thick, like big thick neckline, which I wouldn't really want, so we would have to modify that. Next is the Branch Jumper by Lene Ricks, or Lene Ricks, not exactly sure on that one. And this is another bulky weight project knit from sizes extra small to 3XL. This is so cool. I honestly love the version that's just black and white. Again, like I said, I love a vertical stripe, and all of these increase sections just look really cool. I think I would 100% have to knit this in a bigger size. This looks like it has really small negative ease, or no, sorry, really small amount of positive ease. It looks very fitted, which I don't love, so I'd 100% have to knit this a bit bigger, but I think, I don't know, it just looks really cool. It looks really clean with the black and white, just like all the lines coming down. Next is the Autumn Alpine, and if I had just seen this on Ravelry, I actually don't think I would have been drawn to it as much. There's a very specific picture on Pinterest that I have. Someone's knit this in black with white flowers, and then they've, I don't know if it's like duplicate stitch or something, some pink into it. That looks so good. That is exactly how I would knit this, black with the white flowers, and then maybe go in with a little bit of pink. So many variations of this are so cool, but this is knit at a fingering weight, I'm pretty sure, no, sport weight, and it is graded between a 36 and a 68 inch bust, so it's pretty good. I would 100% knit this in a bigger size because this is, again, quite fitted. I think that's another thing I dislike about circular yokes, is they all seem to like not really have that much positive ease, or anything that does, the armholes are like right down like at your waist, which is not really very functional. So yeah, anyway, Very similar but a very new release is the Forget Me Not jumper by Florence Miller. This is a DK weight gauge and it's graded between a size A to I, but she's got on here that H and I haven't been properly tested yet, so basically if you want to test for her, to message her, which I think is quite a good way to do it, and I think that is something that I will do if I'm ever not able to find testers for certain designs. So again, this is another round yoke floral design, and you know what I think it is that I love, or that I enjoy a lot about the Forget Me Not and the Autumn Alpine, is I think with round yokes, another thing that bothers me is they all, like, all the designs come this way, right? It's like long, I don't know, chains of, or like charts of colour work that come round. But what I like about this one, the last one, is that the colour work comes down. So I don't know, it kind of looks like it's coming down from your neck instead of just like around. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes sense in my head. The next one is the, I'm gonna feel ridiculous saying this, Sipoon Korpi, that can't be right, by Nulo Vaketu. And this is a Aran weight jumper and it's graded between extra small to a 2XL, which again is not the best. This is like a really traditional, I would say, like Colorwork-esque jumper. It's recommended for Letlopi, which I most probably would not use because that yarn actually hurt my hands so bad when I used it before. But I just think this is like something that you could so easily change out colours for. There's a specific colourway that I really enjoyed on the Ravelry projects page, which was like burgundy is the main colour. And yeah, I would knit this in a couple sizes up, so it's a bit more oversized, but if you're looking for something that's quite like classic colour work, this one's quite good. And I mean, the thing is with a lot of round yoke as well, there were so many pieces that I found that I basically haven't included in this because the pattern wasn't in English, and I think if I was more confident in colour work, I probably wouldn't mind that because you're essentially just following a chart. But for the first one, yeah, that was important. The next one is the Luna Sweater by Anne Bensel. This is short sleeved. I would knit long sleeves. I just think that the colour work is quite cool. It's very geometric. It's not minimal, but I don't know, it's not super busy, and I really do just enjoy the black on white, and it's like looks a bit fluffy, which I think looks quite nice. Yeah, it's knit in a boucle, which is quite different to any of the other projects. This is an Aran weight and it's graded between a 93 and 142 centimetre bust. Next is the Sun Sweater by Agio Knits, so another one by this designer. This is a bulky weight and it's graded for 9 different sizes. I really like the grey one, the light grey one with like the black and different grey colour work, and I think she actually does say in the written pattern somewhere, where's it gone? So yeah, that one has a version, so basically she's got pictures in the Ravelry listing of her wearing different sizes. So there's one that's probably her accurate size, and then the one that I love, which is super oversized, is it has like 10 and a bit inches of positive ease, which is like my sweet spot. So it's quite nice to see really the different fits of if you choose a different size with this one. I would probably knit the neckline smaller. I can't really wear a turtleneck, but I think this looks so cozy, so good. The next one I had quite a few recommendations for over on Instagram is the Kintra by Rebecca Clow, and this is a DK weight project graded for 10 sizes. I feel like Rebecca Clow, or the Crayobear, she has so many different options in her patterns. I've never actually knit one, but I'm pretty sure you can knit this, yeah, you can knit this at either a DK or a fingering weight gauge, and yeah, there's just so many different mods and stuff. I would probably do the DK weight, but I think this would actually be a really cool project to just use up scrap yarn, because you just really need like one base colour and then you can kind of do as and what you want for the colour work. The next one looks quite visually similar, but I would say that the yoke is a bit deeper. It's the Badger and Bloom by Anne Wenzel. This is a bulky weight, so it is a bit thicker, and this is graded between a 2 extra small to a 2 extra large. And this is, I think I enjoy this so much. Again, the black and white one. I'm so predictable. I just quite like that this looks a little bit fluffy. I quite like a bit of a fluffy colour work, I think. But yeah, I don't know, this just looks like to have a bit more positive ease. The only thing is like the armholes kind of look suspiciously low, so take that as you will. This next one is another quite traditional look. This is the, I don't even know how to say this, I don't even know how to attempt to say this, Joff, and basically it's an Iztex design. Iztex, I will say, so the brand that make Let Lopi and stuff, they have so many patterns for a lot of their yarns. I'm not going to include them all here, but if you are interested in more like traditional round yoke, very Icelandic colour work, they have absolutely loads. This one in particular is an Aran weight. It's graded from an extra small to a 3XL, and I really like the version with there's a picture of like the guy and the girl wearing it, and I don't know, I just think it looks quite good. I can't rock a turtleneck, but if I could, I think this one would look quite nice. The next one is the Sirid Feroce sweater by Onling. So Onling is another yarn brand. This is a DK weight and goes from an extra small to a 3XL, which again, I feel like for yarn brands, these should be doing a bit better. But again, I quite like how kind of classic this one looks. It's quite geometric, it's not super Christmassy. I quite like the colourway in the photos, although I don't think I'd use the orange. I think I'd probably swap that out for a different colour. Next is the Kind Hearted sweater by Clara Eggers, and this is another DK weight project, and it's graded for 8 sizes. I had to actually go and get a drink there because I've been talking for so long. So this one is, I think, so cute. It's got these like kind of different heart motifs all over the yoke. I really love the navy version with all of the pink. I think that's so cute. It could be such a cute like Valentine's jumper. I also just think that this is something that's a bit more like cutesy amongst all of these more kind of classic colour work pieces, but I think at first glance it still does give the same vibe. Next is the Born, it's just called the Born, by Museum Knits, and this is a DK weight project, but it's only, it's graded for 6 projects. It's graded for 6 sizes, but it only goes up to a 48-inch bust, which is not great, but I think this looks really cool. I don't know what it is. Kind of reminds me of one of the earlier patterns that we looked at. But again, the colour work's only on the yoke and down on the cuffs. So I think this would be quite easily modifiable because there's such big portions of stockinette in terms of like if you want to add stitches or take them away, bigger bust or sleeves or anything like that. Next is the Stitches sweater by Kuto Kika. This is a worsted weight project and is graded from an extra small to a 5XL. I think this is so cool. I think this is the only thing I've included that actually has text on it. And I don't know, I just feel like it's straight to the point, isn't it? Like, we all knit stitches. I really like, there's a project on the projects page, just had a proper brain fart there, that's got like either black or navy, and then it's got like pink and purple and white as the colour work. I think that looks so nice, so I would probably lean more that way instead of the way that she's got it with the white as the main colour. I think it looked really good overall, just a little bit darker. But yeah, I don't know, I just think it's so cool. I remember when she first made this. The only thing is I would definitely make it in a bigger size to have a bit more ease. Next is the Nubru, it's just called the Nubru by Belen Fernandez, I think. This is a DK weight and it's graded for 9 sizes. I quite like, again, that this is quite a traditional look. I like the listing photo with like the tweed and then like the lilac kind of colour work. I think that looks really nice. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap this up because my voice is going. Next is the Super Celine by Anne Wenzel. She has a couple different colourworks I think that people quite enjoy. This one is a Aran weight and only graded for 5 sizes, but okay, let me quickly scooch over, because so the Celine sweater, which is basically the, I think, original version, which is a worsted weight gauge, is graded for 7 sizes. So I would actually go for this one. But the reason that I say the Super Celine is because I like how much ease that she's got in this one, plus the neckline. So I would probably knit the Celine in a bigger size. I really like the black with the white on it, and extend the neckline, and yeah. But I think this is really nice. This is really close to a picture that I'd seen on Ravelry of a jumper that I just am obsessed with, and that sent me down this rabbit hole to begin with. So yeah, she's up there on my list. Lastly, for all of the categories, is the Heat or Hit by Sasky & Co. Designs. This is another worsted weight project. Is graded for 10 sizes, and this is again leaning a little bit more Christmassy. It's got this, like, you know, the really kind of quite traditional, like, snowflakey kind of motif, but I quite like that it comes down, like, it's like the top bit, nothing, and then the cuffs also have the contrast colour, so I think that looks really nice. I quite like the, like, beige and brown actually that she's used. Again, a lot of people in the comments are using white and black. What can I say? I like what I like. So yeah, that's it for all of the pans that I have narrowed this down to. So now I'm going to tell you about my favourites, and maybe you can let me know what ones you think I should go for. I have like 11 in my favourites, which it's maybe a little bit too many. Okay, so I'm going to try and put them up on the screen. So I'm torn between the BB sweater, the Nordic mix, the Simone sweater light, the Jeju sweater, the Norma sweater, the Stitches sweater, Autumn Alpine, the Dazzler, the Sand sweater, the Cirid Rose, and the Celine sweater by Anne Wenzel. So I don't know exactly which one I'm going to start with. There are a couple that I'm leaning towards, but these are all of my favourites. I just think all of these are, like, not too Christmassy. They're also not, like, there's a lot of patterns I find that fall into the, I guess, danger of being just a bit too, like, vintage for me. Like, maybe they look a bit too 80s, and I think partially it does come down to colour choice, but obviously design and the actual colour work, chart design is super important. These ones I all just feel like are a bit more modern, or could be dressed up to be a bit more modern if they have a more kind of classic look. I think all of them could be modified or have that oversized look that I'm going for. My honestly absolute favorite of all of these is the BB sweater. This is something that I keep coming back to, but I'm just intimidated by it. She actually has a book coming out, I think, later in the year, so I might hang off and potentially get the book, and then hopefully, if this is in it, I don't actually know, and maybe start with something on a little bit of a big gauge. But please, you're gonna have to let me know what one you think I should go for. I think I'm kind of maybe leaning towards the Simone sweater light, and yeah, and the Celine, I would say, are probably my two to start with. Definitely want to knit the Dazzler at some point, but obviously well, not obviously, because I haven't told you yet. The recommended yarn for this is the Snefnug by Camel Rose, which is a little bit expensive. I think you can, one of the other recommended yarns was Drops Air, so I don't know. I'm considering that one also. But yeah, anyway, this has been a bit of a different video for me, and I feel like this has been like super info dumpy. So please let me know in the comments what one you think I should go for, or if you've knit any, or if you're looking to knit some. I'd be super interested because, like I said, I feel like I'm starting from the beginning with Colorwork. It is so different to anything I've done before. Also, if you think I've like missed any in terms of recommendations, things that you think would be good for beginners, because you never know, it could help someone else out. I hope you enjoyed this video from me, something a little bit different. And when I start making whichever jumper I pick, I will do a dedicated project vlog to it as well, so you can see my progress. If you're new to Colorwork, maybe, you know, we can knit along together, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye.